All right, so we've been doing a bunch of work trying to get ready to do this. There's going to be a huge accent wall that we're going to do, and essentially it's going to be out of pallets. So we took a ton of pallets, cut them all up, and stained them all kinds of different colors, different sizes, different lengths, different colors, different styles, and we're going to basically make a huge collage of those all the way up. But the next thing we're going to do is add the maroon. Instead of it being on the top, we're going to flip it and put it down here on the bottom. And all the way over there, and then from that point up will be the pallet wall. And so there's our maroon sheets over there. But one thing I've learned over the years of doing pallet walls is that if you have a white base, you will always see any little gap between the boards. And so what we're going to do first, before we put the pallet boards on, is this tar paper. We're going to basically put tar paper from about there all the way up on the wall, and then we will attach the pallet boards on that. And what that's going to do is, number one, it's quick, it's cheap, it's faster than painting it, it's black, and it's flat. And so any of the gaps between the boards will not be visible. And so it's not going to stand out. And so that really helps, in my opinion, make it look a lot better at the end. But before we do anything more, I'm going to really quickly just dress all of this up. And then we're going to pull this off the wall, put the pallet boards on behind it, and then reattach it. But let's make this look cooler. Yeah, that's gonna look really good. It'll be maroon all the way along, and then we're gonna basically start the pallet wall right about there. Yeah, that's gonna look good. All right, check that out. 2 rows up, and man, does that look awesome. So, yeah, man, I'm so pumped. It's gonna look amazing. So we got the maroon up, stuff to peel off all of the covering, and then the pallet wall is gonna go behind the boxes, all the way over, all the way up and around that, and then all the way over and up and around that. So I'm gonna throw you guys up high so you can watch it happen, and we'll speed this up. It should be awesome to see. It's really, really gonna come along real quick. Last piece. We all signed it. We built this. See if I measured right. I did. Oh, yeah, baby. That ain't going nowhere. Yeah. Out of the mind of the salvage man and onto the wall down here at the cave. Awesome. Couldn't have done it without my brothers. Voila. It is finally time to continue that pallet wall all the way across the back here. And so one of the things that you probably don't know about this building is that it is extremely out of square. At least the original foundation of what was left to it. And so you can kind of see it if you look down here. See how that board kind of just waves? I don't know how well that camera shows that, but if I kind of move up and down, you can see how not straight that is. To give you an even better idea of how not straight that is, I've got a laser set up right here, and it is literally leveling from the top right here on this edge and I will show you how far out it is in that corner. So right here, we're literally hitting right at the top of the, but if we walk down here, you can see here's the top of the 2x4. It is that far out of level. I mean, insane. And so, I don't know. I'm not exactly, basically we're trying to do a chair rail down here. I'm trying to figure out exactly how to start it and where to start it. But for now, I kind of wanted to just show exactly what I've been dealing with. Everything in this building has been that way. There is not a single thing that you could measure off of that's completely square. Other than, I do believe if we measured from down straight to from the ceiling down, it is very square because all of the top is square and is exactly true. It's just the lengths down to this wall are not. Which is why when we put this wall up, every single one of the studs had to be measured and individually cut because not a single one of them was the same height. We're gonna get this chair rail on the wall and kind of figure out how to make it look good without completely, you know, making it look like it's out of square. I don't want it to look out of square once we're finished. So with all of this that we're doing, we're hiding so many imperfections this building has just by dressing it up, and we're adding an amazing backdrop to be able to film in for future videos. But we're gonna work our way that way and kind of get the chair rail put up before we go ahead and move up towards the top of the ceiling. In preparation for getting the wall covering on, I went ahead and I spray foamed all the cracks, all the gaps, broke off some concrete to make the wall more flush. On the down side of this, I trimmed off some of the wood right there to make it more flush. So around each one of the outlets, I spray foamed in and around the outlet box to keep the wind and, you know, the cold out, essentially. When I ran my infrared camera along the wall, each one of the outlets was really blue. Essentially, that's where cold air is coming in. Even though the wall is insulated, now they're all insulated around each outlet. So we're going to set up the laser again and start getting the base chair rail on the wall, which is essentially going to be these. It's steel siding that was a huge long chunk. I cut them to this height, and we're going to run that all the way across like that. There's going to be a chair rail on that, and then from there up, it's going to be something else. So going for the rustic look here, definitely trying to kind of match some of the patina that we've got in some of the other places in the shop. So we're going to go with that and get that on the wall now. So initially, I'm just going to screw it on the top, and then later we'll figure out a way to attach it to the concrete below, but I'm not going to do that now. So one thing I just can't stand is that these concrete screws are always blue. So we're gonna change that. I have no idea how many I need, but I think it's less than that. So. On my way, like, go right about there. You lined up the ceiling, pull it tight. All right, I gotta pull it back. It's gonna cut right here where I cut these, so it has to be just right. Hang on, it's not, you gotta get it out from under that. All right, to get it to stick to the concrete there, we're going to use some spray glue. This is the fastest way I've found to attach some sort of a backing to a wall rather than painting it. Tar paper is cheaper than paint. This whole wall costs, and I have this much of a roll left, 20 bucks. And I could probably do most of that wall with the rest of it if I decide. The problem with doing it on concrete is it's a little bit harder to attach. It's not just hammer and stapling it. With this, the majority, except for that very back corner, was all wood. So stapling it up with quick and easy like you saw. So now it's all prepped and ready for the chair rail that's going to go on here. And then we're going to work our way up and across with some unique ideas. So stick around and you'll see the rest of how this wall is going to turn out and what we're going to turn the old cave into. So to cap this, we're going to use these 2x4s that I stained and then polyurethaned. So essentially they're going to go right like this. Basically something like that. And then we'll screw them in straight there, and then we're going to toenail one down like that. There we go. All the outlets are exposed. So it's never advisable to smack an outlet with a staple hammer once, but it's even less advisable to smack an outlet with the staple hammer like 4 or 5 times, which is what happened here. So just an FYI, don't do that because I did that. So I'm not totally sure how I'm going to do this wall above the chair rail, but I want to make it look like the pallet boards are kind of extended over the metal, and there's kind of like a broken brick look. Kind of like if you'd ever take mortar and cover old brick, and then it starts to break off and you can see the exposed brick. I kind of want to make it look like the rusty metal is behind the pallet wall and kind of have that exposed somehow. I really like the look of that, especially when we start adding the pallet wall across and kind of worked in along with that chair rail and that rusty metal. I'm pumped. It's going to look awesome. So it's going to look something like that. And I'll show you how we're going to do the rest of the trim around it here in a minute. So we're going to mirror that other side over here, and I'll show you what we're going to do. So in order to kind of keep the rust flowing, we're going to trim off that edge right there so that the nice galvanized metal on the end goes away, and then we can just overlap that onto the rusty metal this way and leave the kind of the jagged up top of kind of like, you know, water was to have been coming in. So we're going to trim this off, and then we'll get to putting them up. Beautiful. All right, I have this one here. I don't really like it, so it just looks really imperfect. This one is down here, and I got a little bit of imperfection there, but we stomped on a board just to snap it to make it do that. So I'm going to take that off. We're going to put another version of it, basically the same board, but just the non-cut edge. So we'll have that one instead. There we go. I cut it so that that nice galvanized edge is now gone, so the whole rust just flows. So it's going to go right there. All right, let's talk about how you get good edges when you actually care about tear out. Number one, you gotta have a good blade. That helps. With circular saws, the blades are always coming toward you. So it's always spinning toward you. So the tear out is usually on the top side. So whatever side you don't want tear out on, you put that on the bottom. So as the blade comes through it, it's pushing the chips up into the wood, not ripping them out like it does on the top. So that's one thing to note. This is just a normal circular saw, battery powered. This is what's called a track saw. So as you saw, it sits literally in that track and basically allows you a perfectly straight cut all the way down that board. And what that's doing for us is essentially eliminating the need for a table saw in this situation. Gives you perfectly straight cuts, quick setup, you set it down, you line it up on the line, you put this in, and you plunge down and you cut. Now, this has a very nice blade on it. It has a riving knife. Not that that mattered in this cut. And so this was the right saw, but another thing you can do, and I've done it before, even with the circular saw and not having the cut side or the finished side out, I'll put tape over it like this. And what that does is it also keeps the edge nice and crisp when you're cutting to try and keep the tear out. Tear out is little itty bitty chunks of the finished wood kind of basically breaking off and making it look bad. And we don't want that. So eliminating tear out is something that's important. And it's only important when you care. When it doesn't really matter, it doesn't really matter. And that's most of the time. Yeah, that's looking good. All right, what do you think? So, check this out. This is kind of what I was always envisioning, is basically kind of like the brick wall was kind of falling apart, and behind it was the wall or the subfloor or the lath and plaster or the brick behind the main structure. Essentially, it's kind of a reverse of, like, if you ever see old red brick that's been mortared over to basically coat over the top of the brick, and then that mortar starts to break off, then you get that exposed red brick with the mortar lines in it, but then around it is the other mortar on the wall. It's kind of what I'm going for right here. And so I am really happy with the way it's looking up there. But right down here, it just kind of like drops. And so we're going to change that. We're going to make a few changes here. On this side, we're just going to remove this one. And over here, all right, change number one. We're going to need some air here. We're going to bring this over. And then finally, we're going to bring this over. And then on this side, you got just this one right here. Oh yeah, I think that's looking way better. Kind of brings that rounded edge on the bottom a little more. Yeah, I like that. And right there in the area where the outlet is, you can't necessarily go any further that way because I want to put an outlet cover over it. So yeah, I like it a lot. We're going to change one more. I initially kind of liked this rust hole in that panel, but I don't really like it so much. So we're going to take that one out. Instead, I'm going to go with this. Something like that. Still kind of brings it in. But yeah, it kind of hides that spot there. There we go. And then our top gap and this little gap here are not uniform like they were before. Well, they were close to the same size. What in the world? Hi. An air fitting just gave up the ghost. So, this fitting here, I had just fixed it, or so I thought, and clearly I did not have it tight enough. Plus, I used a different kind of hose clamp than I normally do. I wanted to give this style a try. Well, we're done trying it, so we're gonna go back to the classic style. Power's off. So I'm switching over to all black outlets because I want them to kind of blend better. And then I've got black outlet covers as well. So I think it's going to look good. All right, now, in order to basically bring the outlet out a little further so this cover will fit on it and it'll actually be flush, we're going to use these. They're called outlet spacers. The way they work is, it's like a little puzzle piece that fits into itself, and then the screw for the actual outlet itself goes right through it like that. And then it just spaces it out enough for you to be able to get your outlet covers on. So, on these ones where there's just this metal here, it's not going to be too bad as far as like how many we'll need. When we get over to the plywood section, it might be a little different because I might need to get longer screws for the actual outlet itself. But I'll show you how this works. Let's just start with 2 and see if that's enough. And you can always add more, even if you cut this like I'm about to. You can always add another one. I think I'm going to add one more. All right, so I've got 3 spacers on top and bottom. Now this cover, when it goes on, should sit pretty flush. Just like that. So a little further back, there's our outlet installed, ready to rock and roll. I'm going to do that all the way down. 2 down, 7 more to go. All right, well, we got all the outlets in. Got them all spaced back forward. The ones on the wood here, I ended up having to find longer mounting screws for the actual outlet itself. But we just used those little spacers to bring the outlet out far enough. And now they're really solid. And the covers are perfectly flush with the wall. So, yeah, looking awesome. Yeah! All right, yeah. I like it. Let's show you the inside of the cave and where we are right now. So as you saw, we built this awesome pallet wall all the way across. I want to make one note. Every material that I've used in this building thus far has been salvaged, except for these 2x4s right here that I used for the chair rail. I went and bought those new. All of the pallet wood is pallets that we disassembled. All of the rusty metal came from a construction company that went out of business and the owner passed away. Materials just sat. That also includes this galvanized metal, all of the red metal, all of this rounded angle iron that I honestly don't know what it is technically for, but it makes a perfect like bull nose on the edge as trim, both on the outside and on the inside. All of this metal here came from that same place. And all of this plywood came from a local dance studio that went out of business. And they had basically made the floors out of 3/4 inch plywood. And they had to be out that day. And I asked them, I was like, what are you doing with the flooring? And they said, nothing. You can have it if you're willing to take it up. So I removed like, I think 20 pieces of 3/4 inch plywood. I mean, we're talking like $1,000, $1,200 worth of plywood, and it had its imperfections and, you know, damage to it, but that's so cheap, free for that kind of plywood. So as bad as some people might think that I wasted this plywood on the wall, it didn't cost me anything. And so that is honestly at the heart of Salvage Workshop, is my ability to find materials and collect them in advance and then eventually put them to use. And so I did not know how I was going to use the rusty metal. I didn't know how I was going to use these panels or all that plywood until we got into this project here. I knew when we started that I wanted to do this big pallet wall, and I didn't know what it was going to look like. I knew I had an idea in my brain, and this is what we've come up with. And I'm not quite sure how I'm going to finish this, but one thing that we're going to do next is I want to build a mountain. I don't know how I'm going to build it or with what materials yet. I'm literally just, you know, spitballing, playing it by ear and just figuring it out as I go. But we kind of matched that stained plywood on this wall because I did not have enough rusty metal to go further. And man, I think it looks awesome. Got the chair rail all the way around. The little trim pieces for the top trim there. And then I'm working my way across the top with the cutoffs that I have from these pieces. And so I'm just kind of fitting them in. So I've got that door to do and that door to do. But what a difference this has made in this shop. Just a massive, massive difference. I personally love the rustic look, hence I'm doing it like this. Even if you don't like the rustic look, you have to admit that this is way better than white walls. It just is. I do want to take these PVC drops. I want to eliminate that one and extend that one all the way to the corner and just have a drop for air there, a drop for air right there by the door. And then we've got this one here in the middle. And then there's one there, one there, one there, and one there. One at each of these. So 4 along the front of the building. I need to take the tension off of this spring so that I can remove the center bracket. If you don't, it'll twist at you and hurt you very badly. So, it has these set screws here, and there's 4 positions for a rod to go in. And that allows you to manually loosen it, turn by turn, using 2 of these. So I've just got a couple pieces of rebar with some the ends ground down, which will work. Okay, so I've got it loose. We'll basically turn it around like that. We'll put the other rod in. Push that one down. There we go. Now our tension's off that spring. I got to do the same thing on that one over there. And then we'll pull this bracket off and let it hang while we install the metal. There we go. Now that spring is safe, can slide the metal I want behind it, and then we'll reattach the springs and retension them. Yeah, that really dresses that top edge up. And everything above it is still accessible to be able to build onto. So I totally agree with everyone that said I need to add brackets to properly secure it. So I made two, one for each side. We're going to get those installed real quick. Yeah, that'll do real nice. You get the hardware in there and we'll get the other one on. All right, that'll do. Plenty of strength. Angle iron is even stronger than flat bar. And chain and cable, and I want to take off these two steps, and I want to make that step out of like a chunk of rough cut lumber. Same with the one in the front, near the front door. I want to finish up this step. Well, I removed these. Hi, Maverick. This dog, he just wants to be right here. All right, buddy? All right. All right, so we'll move these two. Hi. So I had some old lumber from a trailer. Essentially, the deck of a trailer is usually hardwood on heavy equipment trailers. And these are old boards from it that I anchored here. I had to shim it up to get to the same height. And then I used another piece along the back there. And that's mostly for decoration, just to make it look nice. To kind of cover that block, cover this. We're going to wrap the front of it with something I'll show you shortly. But right now we're going to work on the little lip between the door here and the actual step. We're going to work on raising this lip so that we can basically kind of box this in so that when the door opens, there's not like another step that could be tripped on. But before I do that, right now I'm getting water right under here. I think it hits the door and then runs down and goes down in. So we're going to get that all caulked and sealed up before we basically hide it. I really don't care how this looks. All I care is that it seals. So I'm going to use way too much. And then we're gonna sandwich in the board. And then there's another spot I want to caulk where this piece goes in right along here. You don't normally do this, but it should help. All right, this piece here is going to basically sit right in there on that ledge. But what I want to do is I want to cut this little lip off just where this is going to go so it can be kind of fit in there at the right level. So we're going to mark where this needs to be. I should have done this before I caulked it, but whatever. So to avoid getting all the dust and all that, take this, slide it behind here, like so. There we go, no dust. All right, now that corner will be capped like this. These are going to be too long. They're hitting the concrete. All right, in order to dress this up, we're going to wrap this thing with some of the same maroon. So I'm going to do a piece there, a piece on both sides, and then this will be the cap. Go right like that. That's going to look good. I like it. What do you think, Matt? Come here, buddy. What do you think, huh? You good boy? All right, I'll make one more for that far side, and then we'll get these on. Got it. That was easy. All right, I'm not going for perfect. I'm going for rustic. So, got this little piece. Basically, it's going to kind of just go right like that. Just kind of give that little corner a little bit more A little bit more dress, I guess. Fine by me. I might actually grind the top of that down a little bit. But that's how it's going to look. Yeah, that'll look nice. Now I'll make a matching one for the other side. Cool. All right, yeah. Can still get into the drawers. Yep, perfect. Yeah. That'll work until it doesn't. The inside of this building has changed massively. From where we started at the very beginning of this project as a whole building to the way we look inside. Got our big old pallet wall. And pretty soon, the plan will be to put that hangar door out of an old brewery across that opening so it slides like that. But man, has it changed in here. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's exactly what I was going for. Rustic, yet professional. All with salvaged materials. We took the inside of this building from looking pretty plain to looking rough and rustic and used, but yet unique and cool. And I don't know. You have to let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. But I think it turned out great, and I am proud of it. And this is going to make a great place to film, a great place to enjoy. So I was working on, didn't quite get finished, building a mountain here in the cave. So up there, I'm going to do like 3 peaks like that. And that's just some boards that I had mocked up to kind of get the idea. But I'm going to have the center peak is going to be all the way against the wall, and these 2 peaks are going to be forward. And so I'll be able to backlight it all. And I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to make it out of. It's going to be metal, wood, plastics. I don't know. I want to make it a unique kind of accent to the top of that. So if you have any ideas on what we should do in regards to creating that mountain, let me know. I think it could be another really cool addition to the cave here. But got it set up a little bit. Kind of have some jacks and brooms, and got a jumper pack, fire extinguisher. And then back here, we've got kind of a welding bench-ish thing. Got the 2 butcher block tables, got some cabinets and some shelving. Got a small Salvage Workshop logo. I want to build a big one that's going to get centered right there. I think that'll be awesome. But another table, cabinet. A lot of the main tools, hand tools, I've got kind of centered in the middle of the shop. So down in the comments, I would truly appreciate if you let me know your thoughts on the transition and the changes that we've made here at the Salvage Cave. Let me know if you like it. Let me know what you don't like. Let me know if you have ideas or things that we could add to the shop to make it even better. This place has completely transformed from the place that it used to be. Not only have we done the outside, but the inside has transformed into a rustic paradise. Now, a lot of you could say that everything I did on the walls here was completely unnecessary. And you would be absolutely right. Except for the fact that I wanted to have a place where I felt like home. Like all my rusty machines, they wouldn't know what to do with white walls. And so that's what this was. That's what this was born from. The rustic salvage of all the junk that we're going to bring in and out of this shop. So let me know in the comments what you think of everything. I enjoy it. It's been a fun process. It's been really awesome for me personally seeing the progress and the change here at the cave. I think it's time to get back to the projects, don't you think? We have so many items and so many machines coming up. So I hope you'll stick around for those, because without your support, this channel would not even be possible. I value you. I appreciate your comment. I appreciate your like and subscribe. Thank you very much. But I do want to say one thing before we go. I challenge you to get out there and try something you've never done before, or do something that scares the heck out of you. If you can do one of those 2 things in your life, you would be amazed at what you could be capable of. You guys have a great one.